Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.
Everybody just come on up. Come on up.
Hello and welcome to The Public Good. This is Sam Magavern from the Partnership for the Public Good, or PPG, which unites over 270 community organizations working to build a better Buffalo. Delighted to be joining you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. here on WUFO. This week we'll be speaking with Lukia Costello from the New Hotness, a social justice and storytelling media production company based here in Buffalo. We'll be talking about filmmaking with a mission. Don't forget to follow PPG on Facebook and Twitter, and of course you can always get great information on our website, ppgbuffalo.org. Public Good is sponsored in part by Univera Healthcare, real people who really care. Video of this show is on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ppgbuffalo, and you can find videos from previous week's shows on our YouTube page. A couple of announcements before we get going. Mark your calendars for Free Fred Brown, December 6th at 6 p.m. and December 8th at 10 a.m. at East Community High School. Free Fred Brown is a work of theater about a young black man who becomes the reluctant face of a movement while in prison for theft of services from the National Gas Company. Fred is from Uptown, a frontline community at the epicenter of economic, racial, and climate justice in a Rust Belt city that closely resembles Buffalo, New York. When a surprise snowstorm wreaks havoc on the region, the Uptown neighborhood suffers the most and demands explanation. What happened, who's responsible, and how do we make sure it doesn't happen again? A collaboration with the Buffalo Public Schools. This Ujima production is going on December 6th, 6 p.m., December 8th, 10 a.m. at East Community High School. Find out more at Ujima's website, ujimacoinc.org. Just Google Ujima Company in Buffalo, and you'll find more information about a truly wonderful theatrical production called Free Fred Brown. Had the chance to see it earlier this year. You will not regret it. There is wonderful singing, there's great dancing, there's a very dramatic storyline going on, all kinds of great characters. Free Fred Brown. Also want to let you know about Breaking Barriers Youth Leadership Council, which is seeking applicants right now. Breaking Barriers is a group of young men of color, 12 to 24 years of age, creating a unified voice to advocate for racial equity, social justice, and policy change. The council will address the practices and systems that hold back young males of color. You can apply for the Breaking Barriers Youth Leadership Council at their website, breakingbarriersbuffalo.org. So if you know of young men who would be interested in the Breaking Barriers program, it's a leadership council. They'll be working on racial equity, social justice, and policy change. Check out breakingbarriersbuffalo.org. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, then you're going to have time this afternoon to stop on down at 4:30 p.m. Go down to the NFDA headquarters at the Greyhound bus station, 181 Ellicott. The Buffalo Parent and Teacher Organization is having a press conference to demand fair transportation access for students. I'm sure many of you are aware that the Buffalo Public Schools pays the NFTA full price for the bus passes that the students get, $75 a month for each bus pass, and yet the bus passes are restricted so that the students can only use them for a limited time during each day. It's a very unfair practice, and it's very hard on students when they have after-school activities that they're trying to do or evening events. They find themselves suddenly having to pay for the bus, not being able to use their bus pass, even though the school district is paying the full price to the NFTA. So if you think that is unfair, and you're watching this on Facebook Live right now, go down to the NFTA headquarters at 181 Ellicott, join the BPTO for a press conference at 4:30 p.m. today, and you can find out more by going on Facebook and searching Press Conference NFTA Transportation. All right, thanks for letting me do all those announcements, Lukia. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Hi, it's nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So the New Hotness is the name of your filmmaking or media operation, and you described it to me as filmmaking with a mission. You've just been working on the Unheard Voices project, which we had a chance to talk about a few programs ago here on the Public Good and Ujima production. Tell us a little bit about your participation in Unheard Voices, and we're eager to hear how it came out, too, because we talked to some of the people involved beforehand. But this was the program about Buffalo Public Schools, parents and teachers. So tell us a little bit about what that was like and what your involvement was, and we'll start to get a feel for filmmaking with a mission.
So, excuse me, it's that time of year, huh? I came in early August to document the meetings that were being held with teachers and parents and students of the Buffalo Public School system. It was really an open discussion, examining what is school, what are good days, what are the positive and negative things that students and parents were experiencing. It was really quite open and lovely, and I was really just the camera person taking in, and it was a great honor for me to be trusted in this way, to be present, to hear some truly difficult and heartbreaking experiences. So my involvement in this capacity continued, I would say, until September, November. I don't know, it's all kind of a blur right now.
So you were filming these conversations with Buffalo schools, parents and students about their experiences in the school system?
And the conversations were in a type of social, a circle, open discussion. Everyone was allowed their voice. Everyone was able to speak when they felt they wanted to. They didn't have to. There was no pressure. It was very open and safe space.
Yeah, almost like a restorative justice
Exactly.
circle? Oh.
That's what I was missing.
Yeah.
So I was really just documenting that, and the understanding was that we weren't going to be using any of that footage unless we had permission to do so. So it's not, no film piece has been produced for the public, but the video itself has been incorporated with video that was created also by students, and Sherman Webb, who is part of the project as well. Those different pieces had been incorporated into more of like a staged performance that utilized live, not actors, they weren't actors, they were actually participants.
Yeah, so some of these parents and teachers then sort of developed their speaking pieces into this live theater production.
In collaboration with Lorna Hill, with Deatra, as a group, this was all developed, and then these 3 performances were held over the past weekend, which were absolutely amazing. I do believe that they had the impact that was intended, which is to open dialogue and to get the Buffalo, the school board, to maybe take open their ears a little more, find ways to engage with community more, to hear these stories, because it seems that the school board wants, when you look at the mission and the bargain that they put on, they want collaboration with parents and students and teachers, but there's some disconnect that had been happening.
Yeah.
So this opened that door again, brought these things to light, but at the same time empowered these voices of the students and the parents and teachers to share their experience and to feel that to give them the confidence to share that and feel that what they had to say might actually have some impact, and it does.
So some of the video that you shot of these conversations you then edited, and that was part of the performance that took place. So it was a mix of live storytelling and the videos that you created?
Exactly. The videos that I had created, for which we had model releases for, we had to go back and get them after the fact. Those were used in conjunction with the videos that were created by the students, with one-on-one interview type scenarios, and also video that Sherman had created as well. The same sort of thing.
So what were some of the themes or stories or things that really stood out for you that you heard as part of this Unheard Voices project?
One of the largest things that I would say pain me most is to hear the types of things that teachers say to students. terribly belittling things, and that the impact that this has on a young person. You know, anyone is impacted by negative speech or words that detract or put you down, but a child doesn't have the experience to step away and look at the individual who's saying that and maybe gauge that. A child doesn't have that, so what happens? That just like gets absorbed. And then it has impact in the choices they made, what they believe their opportunities and their abilities are, and it's wrong.
Wow. So that was more than one student, it sounds like, or parent who talked about
quite a few
getting belittled by their teachers. That's very disturbing.
There were also positive stories as well of teachers who were there for students. So, you know, none of it was never intended to be a bashing of the system in any way. Ujima, or the partners and everyone, took great care to present a balanced point of view.
Right. Well, Lorna Hill herself taught in the Buffalo Public Schools for a number of years, so we know that students who had her for a teacher were getting some pretty great instruction, and of course many other wonderful teachers out there. But it's disturbing to hear that it was more than one student talking about being belittled by a teacher. So, really interesting example of what you described, filmmaking with a mission, your participation in this Ujima project. We're talking to Lukia Costello here on The Public Good from the New Hotness, Filmmaking with a Mission. So, kind of broadening out a little bit from this experience you just had with Ujima, tell us a little more about kind of what your vision is for filmmaking with a mission and how filmmakers can interact with community in pursuing the public good.
So I like to say that we've been telling each other our stories since the beginning of time. I mean, if you look at like the cave paintings at Lascaux, cave paintings throughout the world, like theater, dance, all forms of art, these are all storytelling. And if you really listen, you'll hear the common threads of humanity throughout all these stories. There are of course differences of experience, but like the same themes persist. So there may be there's really only, filmmakers have said it before, like there are a small amount of stories in the world, but there are a multitude of voices telling these stories, and in order to understand this world, understand each other, and get along and seize the opportunities that this world has to offer in its beautiful diversity, we need to hear other people's stories so that we can see the places where we connect as human beings. We can honor the places where we may differ. Difference is not necessarily bad.
Right. So as you go about pursuing this mission of telling stories and listening to stories and helping others tell their stories, how do you do that in a city like Buffalo? A lot of things that divide us here. It's not always that easy to bring people together. How does a filmmaker go about building that kind of trust or those kind of relationships?
Well, you have to get involved in community yourself. You have to be open and let people get to know you. You have to be in challenging situations where you are open to hear different things and like not give judgment. Because being a filmmaker, being a documentary filmmaker, you're not, I suppose it depends on like the documentary style you're working in, but you're not there to put forth your own view. You're there to accept and to gather the information that is being shared with you, synthesize that into a story, and then present it.
Yeah.
So how can you tell a story about anything if you have no experience in it? That's really not even really your place. I don't believe that that's my place unless somebody is inviting me in and trusting me with their story.
Right.
Then I can do something.
Yeah. So as you developed this idea of this sort of community-engaged filmmaking, were there role models for you, either locally or people from the past or people from the present who do this kind of work? Is there anyone who you said, yeah, that's what I want to do, or was it really, or were you looking at people and saying, oh, that's not what I want to do, I want to do something different?
I don't know. As an artist, I've been doing social documentary style photography for 13 years now. Mm-hmm. And while I admire the work of others and definitely appreciate and honor the work that has come before me, I don't necessarily follow any particular work
mm-hmm.
and I'm sure there are probably influences that I'm just not thinking about right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's Milton Rogovin,
mm-hmm.
beautiful work in community, like honoring the beauty of like different ethnic communities in our city.
Mm-hmm.
I would say him, although he wasn't a filmmaker.
Yeah. Really great Buffalo photographer, Milton Magavern, did amazing work around Bethlehem Steel, documenting the workers who lived there. Buffalo's West Side, incredible project, and was able to go back to the West Side and photograph families that he had photographed and people he had photographed years earlier. That's a fascinating project there. But yeah, for those who have never seen his work, really one of Buffalo's greatest treasures. Encourage folks to check him out. So he's an example of the kind of thing that you aspire to as well.
I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because of the way I grew up and I was in a multicultural household, I've always had an appreciation for different cultures and languages and an openness.
Yeah.
And I don't really see myself as different from other people in this sense of being a human being that has the same needs and desires as everyone else, security for myself, my family, happiness, all of this, and I also come from a Buddhist perspective as well, where we aren't different.
Yeah.
I mean, our experiences are different, and I'm in no way minimizing the ways, the traumas and the trials that other people live through in their lives.
Yeah. So when you interact with young people who are interested in photography or film, what advice do you have for them if that's an interest of someone's? What's a good way of exploring that and exploring it as a career path?
I suggest that they use the tools that they have, no matter what they are, and not worry too much about the gear and buying the most expensive and top of the line stuff, because I do believe that creativity exists with any tools you have, and if you have like tools with limitations, that just calls on your creativity more.
Yeah.
So don't let that stop you. Just go out and create and explore your voice. And if you could find someone like me who is encouraging in that capacity, like definitely make those connections, because I want to, I'm like, the more the merrier, the more voices we have out there. I am not in competition with anyone else's voice, so I am happy to encourage whoever is interested. And that's also folds in with our mission as well.
Well, that's great to hear. So how can folks find you and the Hotness Project if they are looking to reach out? What's the best way to get in touch?
Probably through LinkedIn. The New Hotness has a page on LinkedIn. We also have a a channel on YouTube. I think you can probably communicate through YouTube, I'm sure, as well. Yeah, so feel free to reach out. I mean, I will definitely be encouraging, but also tough. I will not be doing the work for anyone themselves, but I can give you like the guidelines, steps to take to get to what, the goal you're trying to reach.
Right.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
Huh.
And also, if people exhibit the desire and energy towards doing the work, there's potential for working with us, maybe, in sort of like an assistant capacity initially, depending on what we're doing, whether there's like whether we've received money to pay for a situation, there may also be pay involved.
Mm-hmm.
But we need serious people.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this stuff that we do takes time and effort and
Yeah.
discipline. And if you're a go-getter and you're driven and this is what you want to do, definitely contact me. But I will hold you to it because we will need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to ask you about the name, the New Hotness. Where does that come from?
New Hotness comes from Men in Black 2. I am told by Tilky, the scene that I have not been able to find when I'm just scrubbing through the video. But apparently, Will Smith comes up and to pick up Tommy Lee Jones from the post office in the past or future, whenever that is, and he pulls up in a sleek, beautiful new sports car, and somebody from the post office says, "Hey, Tommy, is that your car?" And Will Hotness.
Freudian
Will
slip.
Smith,
Yep.
whose character name I don't know, says, "Oh no, that is," and he's looking at his car, he says, "That is old and busted. This is the new hotness." And the old ways of denying others' voices, of elevating certain voices over others, of women not being not having leadership roles in the film industry or giving a chance, that's done. That's old and busted. The new hotness is all voices.
So Harvey Weinstein might be an example of what's old and busted.
Totally old and busted.
We know he's old, and he did get busted recently.
Yeah.
So I guess he's
Hooray.
literally old and busted at this point.
Yep.
All right. So that's the new hotness. So you were telling me, we just have a few minutes left, but you were telling me about a project you're working on about your own family that sounded fascinating, about your grandmother. If you could just tell us a little bit about that before we close here.
During World War I, Germany had a program called the Osterbeiter program. I don't know if there's that. Osterbeiter is the actual term. I don't know the rest of it. In which they took young people, children, and teenagers from different households across Ukraine, Poland, and different Slavic countries, and they took them from their homes, away from their families, to Germany to replace the workforce. So my grandmother was that child in her family, and when she was 14, somewhere between 14 and 16, she was taken to Germany, installed on a farm in a household as basically a slave laborer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So taken from her family in the Ukraine, put on a farm in Germany to be essentially slave labor for German farmers back at the time of World War I?
Yep. And she was treated poorly. From her accounts, she wasn't fed well, she was mistreated. And after the war ended, she was in a displacement camp for quite a few years. My mother was born sometime previous to that. Her father was actually a Dutch soldier that died in the war. And my grandmother didn't see her parents again, didn't go back to Ukraine because the government at the time considered them to be traitors, and she would have faced some serious problems had she tried to return home. So she never saw her parents living again.
Wow. Fascinating tale, and a tragic one that you're investigating for a new documentary. Final words, tell us about the vision for the new hotness going forward. So where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years with this filmmaking with a mission?
I would really like us to be a leading voice among leaders in the documentary filmmaking realm and in the entertainment industry, because we also have entertainment projects as well that have strong female characters, diverse cast, with different characters with different experience, that sort of thing, in the realm of leaders who are creating opportunities for others and working in leadership roles to continuing developing voices.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Lukia Costello from The New Hotness, for being with us today on The Public Good. Next week on The Public Good, we'll be speaking with Deanna Eason. She's the Executive Director of Housing Opportunities Made Equal, or HOME. We'll be talking about affordable housing and fair housing in the city of Buffalo. It's the public good every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Power 96.5 FM and Mix 1080 AM. Thank you.
Everybody over there.
Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.
Everybody